The Church of Scientology is again embroiled in legal troubles after a former member files a lawsuit in Los Angeles alleging that the church's aggressive recruitment and retainment practices violate California human trafficking laws. What's more, the unnamed plaintiff is seeking compensatory damages and unpaid wages from the church and its leader, David Miscavige. Legal journalist Molly Barrows has followed this in the past. We're going to talk about it right now. This is a case, as we've talked about before we came here, that it's a case I was asked to actually get involved with in St. Petersburg, Florida. Sarasota, St. Petersburg, Florida, of all places, is like a big bastion for the Scientologist cult.
I've heard.
Yeah. So tell me about this case.
Well, this is an interesting lawsuit. It's been filed by a former Scientologist. Her name is Valerie Haney. Now, according to the lawsuit, she's been named as Jane Doe, but her attorney has confirmed that that's who she is. And she said she was born in the Church of Scientology, raised in the Church of Scientology, and at the age of 15, she was basically appointed to become the personal steward for the spiritual head of the Church of Scientology, David Miscavige. So at that point, she was at a place called Gold Base, which is their unofficial, I guess, international headquarters in California. And it was there as his steward that she also developed a relationship with his wife, Shelley, who at the time was 26. I think this was in mid-2000s. So at any rate, she said that that was when David began to have a falling out with his wife. He began to talk harshly to her, according to the lawsuit. Various other indications that there were problems in their relationship. And she said that for that reason, she was isolated into a place called The Hole, which is a place where they send leaders or other members of the church who basically need to be isolated and are punished. It's a way of punishing them.
Re-indoctrinated is what they try to say.
Yes.
Yeah, people...
To isolate her from Shelley because she was being moved out of his life,
Right. The case that down in St. Petersburg we're talking about this one was held prisoner. I mean, she literally was held prisoner. Look, my call... the Church of Scientology is going to get hammered on the human trafficking statute because it's a very strong one in California.
Exploiting labor, which
exactly.
is one of her charges.
I really like that avenue. More importantly, what I love about this lawsuit is for us to get a look at how crazy this cult actually is. You know, L. Ron Hubbard. There was no question when L. Ron Hubbard put all this together, it was very clear that he saw this was a cash cow.
Absolutely.
It was all about a cash cow.
Author of science fiction.
Exactly. And this author of science fiction creates this, it's nonsense. I mean,
a religion for tax purposes.
Exactly. We're going to get the IRS to let us have this cult. It's not a church, but it's a cult.
Absolutely.
They call it a church because they have to call it a church, but it's a cult. And so people here, you've got people being imprisoned according to the allegations here, human trafficked according to this, fraud of every kind, and we're just now paying attention to it. Why is that?
Slander and libel and intimidation techniques according to this lawsuit when you do speak out against the church or if you do try to separate yourself
Well, we're
from the
speaking
church.
out against them right now.
I know. Who knows? We may end up being followed, Pat.
Well, you know
I'm not
what?
sure.
It's almost good if they bring, when they bring a lawsuit.
They expose themselves.
They expose themselves. I would love the opportunity, frankly, to take the deposition of a few key people here. And I think the chances of them losing their IRS tax base, tax break here could go away. But tell me more about this.
Well, it's interesting. So basically in this lawsuit, it is bringing to light a lot of the allegations that you've heard from various documentaries and different things over the years. And she got out in 2016, 2017 because she said essentially after being in the church for decades, isolated and abused and exploited because of her knowledge of the relationship that deteriorated between David and Shelley, she eventually got out. She was assigned to...
She had to escape.
She escaped.
It literally was an escape.
Literally, because she was assigned to marketing the church. And that had ended up, she developed a relationship with a photographer that she was working with on a promotional video. And this particular photographer helped her sneak out. She got into the trunk of this person's car and they drove her off the property. And then she started working with Leah Remini, who was also a former Scientologist, an actress who now does a program exposing what she says are these harmful practices of the Church of Scientology. So, of course, the Church of Scientology has come out against this and said that these are unfounded, that this particular member was promiscuous of all things.
Yeah, they always do. They've got so much money behind. Look, understand, these numbnuts.
They don't want to lose their dollar signs.
These numbnuts that follow this, they say, here, I'm going to give you everything. And that's the way L. Ron Hubbard built this. Is you come into my cult, and we want to take your jewelry, we want to take your savings, we want to take your pension program, all for the furtherance of our Church of Scientology.
You pay for different levels of knowledge.
And then, of course, recruit somebody like Tom Cruise you know, Tom Cruise on the screen, he sounds like he's, you know, he sounds like he's all there.
Not all
but
there.
when you look behind the story and you see that you see what this church is all about, and he's not just a member. He's way up in their pecking order of discovery, whatever.
It's a sad situation to me, because I have seen interviews with Tom Cruise and he just sounds like he's been brainwashed.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole concept, the way they recruit and once people are in the folds, it's just mind control.
Okay, this case has potential to bust it open.
Well, it's interesting because this lawyer for Haney says that it's just a matter of time before more suits are coming, that they see more and more people filing similar type lawsuits against the church for this very reason, because they are going after them for basically kidnapping and holding people against their will and then damaging their reputations by going after them so personally.
Yeah. We're going to go after them for human trafficking. It's just a matter of time.
Yes, thanks.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Okay?
Yes.
Let's follow up on this story too.
Absolutely.